Hey guys, this is Woody. Welcome to Tech Tuesday. So I've been trying to strike a balance between the technical deep dives like the DNS episode and the more consumer-oriented ones where I talk about, like, say, for example, this Samsung S4 versus S3 cell phone. This is going to be a little more consumer level. I thought I'd talk about my PC, the buying decisions I made on it, and now that it's about a year old, the things that I would do differently if I were to start over again. So, let me set up the camera, set up the lights, and I'll show you the inside of my PC. So this is my case. It's by Lion Lee? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And it was expensive. It was like $400, which is a lot for a case. I bought it thinking that this case would be nice and it would survive from computer to computer through all these upgrades. And I had this buy it nice or buy it twice type idea. In retrospect, it's missing some stuff I really like. I wish that there was more space inside, and I wish it had a card reader, so I could pop out the card from, say, a camera and read it, which is something that I do a lot, but I don't know, maybe it'll be less important to you if you're not on YouTube making videos and stuff. But I'm going to pop it open for you and show you what it looks like inside. Pretty full. So let's set up the camera, refocus, and we'll talk about the insides. Alright, so this is my computer on the inside. I hope the lighting is good. We worked really hard on it. The first thing you notice is probably the fan. This is the CPU cooler. I bought this aftermarket. It's the Noctura D, I think. And, so if you follow this stuff super tight, there are some that sometimes test 1 degree better or 1 degree worse. I feel like there's a margin of error there. I feel like the real decision isn't which fan you pick, because they're all really close. It's whether you pick fan cooling or water cooling. And the reason I went with fan is because I wanted it to be low maintenance. I used to have fish tanks and was constantly dealing with evaporation and cleaning and algae or who knows what. And while it might be easier, I didn't want to ever have to worry about leaks in my computer. I didn't ever have to want to worry about evaporation in my computer. So I just went with air cooling. I might change my mind someday in the future, but so far, it just works, and I've never had a problem. My CPU is overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz, so that's pretty fast. You don't usually see them too much quicker, and the air cooling seems to be doing the trick, so I'm happy with that. The next thing you probably notice is all these hard drives. I have 5 mechanical drives, and this looks like an empty slot, but it's not. There's actually a solid state drive in this one here. So I started off with just these 4. This is what's called RAID 0, which means that when I write data to these, it writes data to all 3 at the same time, and it's almost 3 times faster than writing data to 2 drives at once. I did that on purpose. They're all terabyte drives, so I have 3 terabytes worth of storage there. And being a YouTuber, I need a lot of space. So I have 3 terabytes of drive here, and I think I have a 1/4 gig here, or 1/4 terabyte, I'm sorry, I mean to say here. So it's smaller, but it only holds my programs and my operating system, and it makes it boot fast. Amazingly fast. Like I think when I turn my computer on, it's ready to use in under 10 seconds, which is nice, because sometimes I have to boot while I live stream or who knows what. Booting quick is always good. So over time, I started recording PC games, and I realized that for all the things I use these for, it still wasn't enough space, the 3 terabytes. So these are both 3 terabyte drives. This is a second RAID array, and it's 6 terabytes. So these are 3, this is 6 more, and then this is just operating system and programs. I have a lot of storage space in here, and now it does the job. But like I said, doing so much video work, I need a lot of storage space, and that's just how it goes. Alright, next I want to talk about the graphics card. It's an area where if you're a PC guy, you probably have a lot of interest. This is a MSI Twin Frozr 3? I don't even know, but it's a 680. That's the deal. It has 2 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM on it, or GDDR5. People get real picky over that distinction. And it's a 680. So this was, in my opinion, the best card for sale last year. It's a tricky thing as far as which card is fastest and which card is best. Over in the AMD camp, They have, as far as single GPU cards, the 7970, and that sometimes tests better on a lot of games. But if you're a video renderer and a gamer like me, then the NVIDIA stuff is a much better choice. For whatever reason, you know, Adobe and actually a lot of other guys just don't support that other chipset as well as they support the NVIDIA chipset. Maybe it's because CUDA is older and they've had more time to develop for it. I'm not sure. But that's my 680. And I am really, really happy with it. By the way, I don't have a deal with NVIDIA, if it sounds like I do. But maybe someday I will, NVIDIA. If you're out there, hook a brother up. But yeah, I run the 680. Since this has come out, 2 new cards have come out, the 780 and the Titan. And they're both really fast. And the 780 is a better value, but the Titan is the faster card if you need the absolute best. And that's how these things kind of work across all the video card makers. Like, people ask me which one they would buy, and I say, well, you know, if you're on a regular person budget and you just want to play PC games, the 660 is a fantastic, you know, performance per dollar card. So that's by NVIDIA. Over on the AMD side, you know, they have their equivalent, sort of just above the middle tier cards. If you have, you know, a little extra money, or if performance is super, super important to you, then the 680 or now the 780 and Titans are a good buy. But as you look at cards, keep in mind, you know, when the price doubles, the performance goes 15% better. And for some people, that's what you need. And for some people, that's a complete waste. So you get to decide. But I run the 680. I would have gone SLI, which means having 2 cards in there. You can have 2 cards, power 1 monitor, and work together in sync. But my graphics rendering programs don't support 2 cards. They will this year, so I'll probably drop in a second card. Maybe a 680, maybe a pair of 780s, maybe a pair of Titans, I'm not quite sure. But this card, which has been great, will probably be upgraded because I use it so heavy rendering videos and playing games every day. Heck, I think yesterday's Mail Monday. Check that out. It was a PC gaming video. And I don't know. I like having a good graphics card. In here, we've got a couple more cards. Let's see. This tiny guy, I think, is the Blackmagic Intensity Pro. And I tend not to use that anymore. It was the first HDMI recording card I got. But it's real finicky, and it seemed to just not work and crash at random times. And for a long time, I would use my Hauppauge as a backup and record both of them at the same time to that hard drive array over there, because this thing was so unreliable. And I'd call support and work with them, and in the end I just started replacing it. So I got a pair of AverMedia cards. This smaller one I think is actually the better one. It's the Live Gamer HD, and it's the one that records most of the gameplays you see on my channel at the moment. That bigger one is a streaming card, and because I have 2 cards like that, I can stream on one and record on the other at the same time, which, you know, is something I like to do. I should start streaming a bit. But anyway, I also have an Elgato on my desk, and I need to test that out and see if it's better than the AverMedia is. If it is, then I guess I'll let you guys know. But there are a lot of capture card options out there, and the Elgato is super popular on YouTube, but I haven't tested mine out yet. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was the motherboard. So this motherboard was probably one of my buying mistakes. It's if you don't know, the motherboard is this big board in the back that everything connects into. I got the best one. I didn't know what to get exactly, and it is the Rampage Extreme 4, I think. They call it like the Rive, like get it like Rampage, and then IV is the Roman numeral for 4, and then Extreme. So it was, and maybe still is, like the best motherboard you can get out there for my chipset. But in the end I realized, like, I paid extra for it, but it has features that aren't important to me. Like, it can start up when it's cooled at below 0 temperatures for people that overclock in this, like, overclocking competitions using liquid nitrogen and all sorts of crazy stuff that it turns out, you know, like I kind of just wasted money buying features that didn't apply to me. So you maybe get a Sabertooth 79 or something like that instead. All right, a little bit of tech issue there with the camera. So what I was saying was, I think the Sabertooth X79 would be the one I'd buy today if I was to start over. It's cheaper and it does the same stuff that this one does. One thing I haven't talked about yet is the CPU. I have the 3930, the Intel 3930K, I think is the full model on it. It's overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz. If you're going to overclock your stuff, you need a decent cooling solution. This fan works for me. I talked earlier about water cooling and stuff. That would work too. If you're gaming, you don't need the best CPU out there. Even a high-end i5 will do the trick, or a low-end i7. If you're making videos, if you're compiling code, like you're a computer programmer, if you're doing any of these CPU intensive tasks, then a high-end CPU will do you a lot of good. For me, I render videos between 1 and 3 times a day. Some of them are really long, like Painkiller Ready is oftentimes 4 hours long. So having a fast CPU is a big deal to me, and that's why I have what I have. It has 6 cores in it. I did another video where I talked about what the cores mean and why CPU manufacturers went to it. So I'll put an annotation on the screen if you're curious about CPU technology. It also is hyper-threaded. So to the operating system, it looks like 12 cores. And that might be a nice idea for one of my more techie, deep-divey Tech Tuesdays for the future, to explain what hyper-threading is. And it's really just 6 executions at one time, but 12 setups. And it's super efficient, and it's super cool, and it's interesting if you're a nerd. Anyway, the Intel 3930 is a good CPU if you're doing a lot of CPU-intensive stuff, but it's probably more than you need to spend if you're a gamer, because as a gamer, your money is better off spent on the graphics card than it is on the CPU. That's where your bottleneck is going to be in getting your frames per second and great gaming performance. So that's this week's Tech Tuesday. It's a tour of my PC. It's a talk about some of the things I did right, some of the things I did wrong, and what's inside. So I use this thing all day, every day, and it's been pretty good for me. I made it myself. I did it in a live stream, which was an ordeal. And I hope that you guys like it. Okay, the moment we stopped recording, my wife insisted that I remind everybody that we both built this PC together on a live stream. She was such a trooper. So, thanks, honey. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, etc., etc. On the left is more Tech Tuesdays, so if this is your cup of tea, then there's more out there like it on my channel. On the right is my special 100th Mail Monday. So check those out and have a good day.